My best face right now.
He's recording. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, teacher.
Good
Hi.
morning.
Good morning.
Afternoon.
just,
Good night.
just for you to know, we record this once, and the recording didn't work. Like it stayed in 99%, and it didn't convert. So we are doing this again.
And it's
I don't know
very
if
early
it's
in the
going to
morning.
be.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're
Okay.
in the
My
morning.
bad.
I
Laptop
don't. We
didn't
don't.
work.
Yeah,
We don't know if this is going to be better or worse.
Present, I like it. Okay. Is have just people been married for their sex.
We know that you think what each word he writes me. There are some key things. Yeah, just for you to us to know that we don't think that.
These are two box coming just one. Each other, and they are trying to kill each other. Their father died, and they want to know who's going to be more money with more. Tries to kill Orlando in order to not die in the way. He meets Rosalind and Celia, who are two cousins, daughters of the dukes, who are also exiled, and they dress up as men or as fake shepherdess to survive. And then, I mean, they meet each other. Orlando meets Rosalind, Celia meets Oliver, and they fall in love. Then, well, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about the characters. We have here the most important ones. The protagonist, Orlando, and the antagonist, Oliver. As I mentioned, they are brothers, sons of Sir Roland de Bois. I suppose it is pronounced like that. Some attributes of each of them are the following. Is love.
She's a trait immediately, or you send them to the church, the army. So they are not. So these things doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
Have books, the and in society. So one of them exiles the other. And yeah, Duke Senior lives in the forest, in the middle of nowhere. Very happy, of course. He's
yeah, who else wouldn't be happy to be a lioness?
oh stop.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
We'll get to that later. Then we have again Celia and Rosalind, who are the cousins. Celia dresses up as a shepherdess, and Rosalind dresses up as Ganymede, a young man, a handsome, intelligent, tall, normal guy. And their relationship is very close. They love each other a lot. They're more like sisters instead of cousins or relatives. They're best friends. When Duke Frederick exiles Rosalind, his niece, Celia, accompanies her instead of staying in the court with her father. That's how much she loves Rosalind. We have Silvius and Phoebe.
Phoebe.
Phoebe, sorry. They are just like normal people. Shepherd that is truly, madly, deeply in love with Phoebe. But Phoebe, I mean, it's not reciprocal. Reciprocal. And at the end, Phoebe falls in love with Ganymede, who is Rosalind dressed as a man. And Silvius is still chasing after her. He really loves her.
No, like he's the kind of man you want
low-key
to
obsessed.
get away from.
I think he's pretty
Like,
much like the typical man that doesn't understand what no means.
he's an incel.
Mm.
Mhm. I mean, there is a limit, right? There's a certain limit,
Yeah, but
but
in the 15th century, there are not very limits about you being a man. You can do pretty much everything, unless it was against another man or to another man. So
mhm.
yeah, eh, eh.
Eh,
It
eh.
happens.
Then, as important characters, but not as the most important as Silius and Phoebe, we have Touchstone, who is the clown of the court, who is the best friend of the cousins. So he also joins them in their forest trip journey and knows everything. He's always there, always. And then he falls in love with Audrey, a girl he just meets also in the forest, normal, simple
You can
girl.
see by the character traits you made about Audrey that yes, she's not like a very
Exceptional woman.
she's not a character by herself. I think that
Uh-huh.
Shakespeare was like, okay, everyone is getting married in this play. Let's get everybody get married, even the clown.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's
And
not
what?
that important, but at the end,
Yeah,
it affects a little the
yeah.
ending of plot.
Yeah, I think it would be everything more comfortable for what it is already.
And also, at the end, Silvius marries Phoebe, even though she's in love with another man. Because, I mean, why not? Right?
Let's
Let's get
cancel
married.
Shakespeare. Well,
Mm,
no. It
And
was a joke. It was a joke.
yeah. And something that I wanted
mm.
to say about Touchstone, it was that this type of character is seen a lot, even in nowadays literature. And one of the best examples that we mentioned before on the previous video, it was Ron from Harry Potter. We always have this kind of group of characters, and there's always one that is like this, that is the clown. That sometimes it has the job to point out something very important that maybe the other characters are not seeing, and he's, as well as it says here, had a good friend and kind of partial, sorry. So it's something that is still used nowadays in literature.
I used to think, well, I still kind of think it, that clowns also were like a reflection of the audience. Like they know what we know in terms of who is betraying who and things like
They
that.
know everything.
And the characters don't listen to him. Is like the clown is crazy. Let him alone. He's
Yeah,
going
Yeah,
to say another one of
they
he's
don't take
right.
them seriously. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Who would marry someone dressed like that? But oh well. In terms of language, as we mentioned previously, it is a very simple and funny play. There, there is no need of looking up for Shakespearean words or difficult sentences or anything at all.
yeah, like the half of the play is written in prose and half of it is written in verse. And but it's still, even though it's not really that complicated in the language, we consider that this is still smart the way he managed to mix up between verse and
Oh,
prose.
yes,
Uh,
as the slide says, that's the difference between prose and verse. Prose refers to an ordinary speech, which is the one we normally have among our friends or brothers and so on, and the verse, which is more a more formal way to communicate, and we use it with our authorities, like maybe our families, our teachers, or anyone we do not know. And an example of how Shakespeare jumps between prose and verse is when Celia is speaking to Rosalind, they're having a normal conversation, and the way Rosalind and Duke Frederick communicate when she's being exiled, right?
Oh, well, not even that. There's a more precise example when, yes, Rosalind and Celia are talking with each other and they're talking in prose, like a normal speech, but then one of the counts, one of the counts like arrives, and suddenly both girls change to verse again. So
Mhm.
yeah, as it says
I mean,
there,
we can
the
see
use
it.
of the language reflects the status of the person, the person you're talking to, and it doesn't say so, but also when they're talking about things, emotions like love, for example, it's also in verse.
Very poetic, the love notes.
Exactly. Okay.
And of course, the play is called As You Like It because it is for the general audience. It was not Shakespeare's like original idea to create this play, to write it, and to perform it even or anything. And okay, so what is imagery? Imagery is the language used by poets, novelists, and other writers to create images in the mind of the reader. Imagery includes figurative and metaphorical language to improve the reader's experience through their senses, using visual, sounds, smell, taste, and touch. So, I mean, it's just what you feel, what you perceive while reading, right? And we have here some examples. We can imagine, we know how Rosalind is, and I mean Ganymede also. Shakespeare explains that Rosalind is a tall girl, that she's intelligent, and she has the proper manners to behave, to become a man like Ganymede, right? Or what? What do you
No,
guys
yeah,
perceive?
I think I think it was intentionally because if Rosalind would be like short, it wouldn't be, how can I say?
That appropriate.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that convincing for the other
Mm,
people. So they notice that obviously it is not a boy, but by the size, because
Yeah.
in Europe there's a like an average, how
height,
can you say,
Okay.
height?
height,
Yes,
height,
yes, sorry.
height.
And if you just stop, no, if you are not that tall, that average height, uh, like it's like people, you're weird. Are you from? Are you a Muslim or something like that? Because Muslims are smaller. And also, I think that also Shakespeare tried to say that she's smart by saying, "Okay, I'm alone now, and I'm exiled, and I need to do things to survive, like work, travel, and stuff like that. What can I do?" I think, and the answer is not obvious, but it's an intelligent one. Dress up like a man, because men have more chances to get jobs, to travel safely, etc., etc.
Yeah, they have more rights. They're entitled to have more things than a woman. So it was a very intelligent decision for Rosalind to dress up as a man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't know, what can I say except you're welcome. Also we do picture gaming like Ganymede. What a worse name for a guy. What does that
Yeah,
name even mean? But okay.
yes, I know.
Uh,
We have
we
Charles.
we
We
talk
have
about
we have
John.
any. other name.
Another name.
Can.
There are many names in many languages, and you just be a novel. You know, you know names, and you use that name. Okay, it is weird, but anyway. What I want to say is that we do picture Ganymede like these men that were very androgynous.
Yeah.
You say, and even back then it wasn't that weird to say, look, this man is pretty, is beautiful, instead of saying that man is handsome or something like that. Um, yeah, we imagine something that could fit by simply saying, okay, he's pretty, but everybody in this age tries to be pretty. So okay, I
Mhm.
think that gives another insurance that her idea was going to work.
Yeah.
Like she would mix up even better.
Exactly.
And now
Okay.
our favorite one, the lioness.
Yeah.
The
No, my
lion.
favorite one is the weddings. The lioness is just like, okay,
My favorite.
what? But yes,
Mhm.
My favorite, the lioness.
the
It
lion.
was hard to picture a lioness in the middle
Yes,
of the forest in
to
Europe.
begin with, lions are social cats. So why isn't there the whole backup cats?
Mhm.
And the second thing, what is doing a lioness? Sorry, in the middle of an European
In
um,
Europe's forest.
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 Yes. I mean,
It was like
we said the other day that it could have been a bear, it could have
Or a
been
wolf.
a wolf, it could
wolves.
have been any other
Well,
animal.
you have those two options because, and those two options, the lions, the bears and the wolves, like I are very cemented in the um, British imagery as
Hmm.
dangerous creatures
Yeah.
that you have to not face because they could kill you and probably eat you. So we are confused about why he
It
chose
shows
he chose
a lion.
lions,
The lioness. But also
and I
because
think it was just to give an impact to
There
look
was also a
this
snake,
exotic
right?
animal.
well,
Huh?
what?
There was also I think it was also a snake first.
Oh yeah, but the snakes are everywhere, literally.
Yeah, snakes are everywhere.
Um,
But a lioness. But what we were saying in the other video was that this play was not written like for people on the church. Well, high rank people.
who
It was
knew?
written for the town, for the low people. So they weren't going to question if there was a lioness on the
Hello,
forest.
people.
Well, poor people, people from the town. I don't know how to say it in English, but the point is that these people that the play was
Common
written for,
people, the
Normal people.
commoners. I
okay,
don't
it
know
was for the
something that's so
commoners.
less.
Sorry, we haven't been speaking English in a long time. But the thing is that these people were not going to be questioning why there was a lioness in the forest. Do we agree on that?
They were just being entertained. They were like, ah,
Yeah.
okay. Hmm.
Yeah, they were not going to question why there was a lioness in the forest.
Yes. And last but not least, the weddings.
Sebas?
The most uncomfortable and awkward
Where
wedding
ever.
in life.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I can't imagine marrying someone
Like that.
who, uh-huh, like that. It's just a little bit hard to explain. Like, uh, I mean, at the end, we have to conclude the play, right? Of course.
Mhm.
But marrying four people, eight people the same day at the same time, and not being, for example, in love like Phoebe, that she will eternally wait for Ganymede. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, well,
it was
there were,
very fast.
yeah, there were many options for women in that time. So we agree on that part. And as Eva said in the other video, Phoebe married Mi Peor Es Nada. So she pretty much needed to be married. If
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, for example, in Pride and Prejudice, when this girl, sorry, but I don't remember her name, the one that marries Mr. Phillips, I think with Mr. Phillips. Um, she said, I am probably 27. I cannot be picky about who I marry with. So that was something that sadly happened. Women needed to be married, and to, most of the times to the first man that would propose.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you guys can see me? I can't see myself.
Yeah, it kind of comes and goes, but let's move.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to Seba's connection, but we're going to continue.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, this is my part.
Cross-dressing and gender.
Cross-dressing and
All
gender.
right.
Okay.
All right, all right, all right.
Okay, first of all, what about cross-dressing in the time of the Renaissance? First, it had an important aspect because women were considered inferior to men, as we said before. And if someone cross-dressed, it represents that an important change in status. We said it before. If sorry, let me just give me a moment. Okay. If a woman pretended to be a man, she was assuming more rights than she was entitled to. And since a woman was not supposed to leave her house and travel alone, as Rosalind did, uh, they they needed protection. So if they wore these male disguise, they were going to have the protection that they needed to be alone. But if they were discovered, they were suspected to have a loose life, and they were going to be punished.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my internet blew up, but I'm back.
It's okay.
Okay, and actually I get in the just in the right time. Um, I wanted in this point to make, after reading what Abby wrote, I wanted to give a contrapoint, like to contextualize that it was a very dangerous time.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, okay, and saying that also I wanted to acknowledge mm, how some women, because we don't know how many of them did it, but at least we have few examples, and acknowledge the ability of this woman to adapt to her environment or to take advantage to the system. And that is something that is not really seen, that it is like, no, break the system and beat it. And sometimes you can just not beat it. It is not possible for just one person to do it.
Yes,
And
yes.
they managed to get the best they could to survive, and not even survive, to be as successful as being elected as a pope. And when this this female pope died, like they discovered it was a woman, and since then they were like horrified that a woman was a pope. So since that moment, they started checking, like, okay, all the priests are men or not. And I think it's very cool. Like, you managed to fool everybody, like a full system that is specifically trying to say that women shouldn't do a lot of things, and you
Mm-hmm.
become the representation and the one who took the decisions. I
I know.
think that's
Crazy.
very, very impressive. Like that is the example that comes into my mind when we talk about this in back century, sorry. Uh, but eventually we stopped seeing this because women are started to acquire more rights with the centuries, that into a point that, for example, in the First World War and the Second World War, there were women fighting in the field. Like they knew it were uh, there were women and they had their uniforms and they fought in the war because they wanted to fight for their country. So I think that because dressing started to be less about surviving and more like expressing something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know that Abby is more like aware of the situation or about the subject. I do know things, but I'm not in that community.
Yes.
But I think yes, with the time when we start to feeling or to having the necessity to do something, we start to making questions for ourselves, and then is when things like what David is going to say more properly because I am no I have not the credentials to do it happen. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, cross-dressing during that time was only for, well, there were some exceptions, but it was only for fiction and carnivalist festivities, because it was
Mm-hmm.
seen as escape from as a temporary escape from everyday reality. And as much as Queen Elizabeth loved and enjoyed theater plays, cross-dressing was seen as a threat to the normal social order. Because this
Mm-hmm.
social order was based on strict principles of hierarchy and subordination, and clothing showed a person's status. So, if we think about cross-dressing now, it it hasn't stopped appearing. This example is, for example, from last century, 20th century. She's not even really known. She, even though she has a product with her name, Salsa Valentina. Valentina was a woman that dressed up as a man in her brother's clothes to go fight with Pancho Villa during the revolution time in Mexico. She was known as Juan Garcia, and even as she was, everyone loved Juan Garcia on how badass he was and how good he was during fights. But in the moment that Pancho realized that she was a woman, he decided that he was not going to give her any military decoration just because of the fact that she was a woman.
That she was a girl.
Yeah, but
I'm glad that we're having a conversation about how a murderer is not recognized as a woman.
mm, well,
Mm-hmm.
It's
it's an example
beautiful.
because it's an example of what happened here in Mexico. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
still happening. And if we think about this century, 21st century, it still happens and it's being, well, the LGBTQ community is trying to see it as something more normal for the mainstream. RuPaul said once that he believed that cross-dressing was not going to come to the mainstream, but he has been proved wrong, and we see it every day, not only for gay men that have been on the scene for longer, but we see biological women, cis women on the act as well, and showing to kids that it is normal and that they don't have to be persecuted about it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think that was an important job. That even though I know this change of television didn't have the intentions to normalize something or to give exposure to a group of people, they just wanted profit.
Yeah.
But even though at the end of the day, someone who has this kind of doubts, if they want to do something like this, if you say it in television, then you notice that it's like right, like it's normalized at the end of the day. So that's what we at the end of the day in regarding this specific topic, what we want to say.
is that it's still
I don't know.
happening, but it's not persecuted as much as it was before. There's still people that see it
Yeah.
as something horrible, but slowly here in Mexico or and around the world as well is something that is being normalized because it still happens. It's not something that just stays in the shadows.
That's from
Exactly.
another world.
Yeah.
It's
So
always
yeah,
been used and it will always be used. Right.
exactly. So yeah,
Well,
that will be like pretty much what we have to say about this. We would
yeah.
like to expand more on this, but the
Mhm.
time is running out for the live
So we just
for
gotta
yeah,
say
yeah.
goodbye.
I hope we hope you enjoy it and that you don't hate it. So yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, teacher, for watching us, listening us, etc.
So yeah. Bye.